Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. So I was watching a movie called Lucy, and no, it's not I Love Lucy or um, the Ricardos, which is a current film that's out, but it's that Lucy movie from 2014, and it was kind of a play off the first primate, if you will, that evolved into the walking human species was known as Lucy. From 250,000 years ago. And this girl's name was Lucy, and she, against her will, was forced to be a drug mule. And it's a violent, crazy movie. But reading between the lines, I saw why I was affected by it. So she ended up becoming a drug mule, and the drugs were actually a synthetic hormone that the body naturally produces during the 6th week of pregnancy that allows all of the bones and everything to form, right, in the baby. And so it was that for which apparently it's equal to like a atomic bomb going off, that tiny little bit of hormone to create the incredible skeletal system in a baby. But she had a gazillion of these tiny little beads go off in her and never should have lived, and she did, and that's all part of the sci-fi part. But what interested me was that the movie kept emphasizing that the body produces that the body is made up of, hold on, because I kind of looked it up. I didn't want to I didn't want to guess per se. Okay, so introduction to brain signaling and what goes on in our brain and how it communicates with all the cells in the body and everything. And it reads, the brain contains roughly 100 billion nerve cells. And a nerve cell is called a neuron, right? And that each neuron forms a connection, which is a synapse, with hundreds of billions of synapses. So this thing is in the trillions, right? With up to thousands of other neurons. So there's 100 billion nerve cells connecting to thousands of other neurons doing the synapse, right? And the specificity of this staggering number of synaptic connections underlies all aspects of brain function and illustrates the remarkable complexity of the brain, like understatement of the year. And then, of course, it goes on, and I'll connect this as a description of the video. But yeah, it was so interesting because it was going on to talk about how obviously our drugs, which people use so readily, even the basic drugs in the grocery store, the over-the-counter drugs, which are meant to make us feel better, help us sleep, etc., all affect the transmission of those neurotransmitters, of course. And then, of course, the ones that are on the street, the opiates, the marijuana, but even alcohol, of course, nicotine, all of those things directly affect how the brain is going. And so while it was talking about the drug effect, I thought, what about the food effect? Okay. And in that movie, I was thinking, what a tragedy, and guilty as charged, let's be fair. If you watch me at all, you know my history. Oh my. Because I would live off of packaged food, and it wasn't even food, it was of course food-like products and sugar in particular, for weeks at a time, with nothing entering my body that was grown by God, nothing fresh. You know, in America, we have what are called food deserts because it's literally blocks, if not miles, of only restaurants, of course, that take everything out of the freezer frozen and fry it. And a lot of the common grocery stores, and certainly the grocery store chains, are nowhere to be found. And I know that to be true because I've worked in some challenged, certainly socioeconomically challenged communities for my entire teaching career, and so often I knew that I better have everything I need because I'm not going to be able to find a store, and if I dare to get anything, it's going to be fried nonsense at a drive-through at best. So I so get that. So anyway, as I was watching this, and they were going in the Lucy movie, going through the process of her brain, and you could see the synapses and what was transforming, and they kept emphasizing that what is contained in the body and going on in the mind exceeds all universes. And if you're a science person at all, you know that we have no idea how many universes there are at all. You know, it's like infinite. And certainly when we talk about our Milky Way, it was just saying we far exceed our Milky Way, which is barely explored either. And I just kept thinking, and people think vegans are crazy for putting in natural food made by God, grown as a plant, not found in a plant, into our bodies, our humble little soil depleted fruit and vegetables that we try and do our best by. Well, all these people are expecting that brain to function so successfully on food-like products, on cancer-laden, broken, fake food-like products. Oh my gosh. It just made me sad. It made me so sad. I thanked God to no end for when I got well from things I got well from, you know? So I was thinking, like, I took my last drink in March of when I was 26 years old, right? So more than half my life ago. At that time, I certainly stopped any pills that weren't necessary in my life, but I continued to take over-the-counter medication and certainly abuse the amount. Continued to take medication prescribed by doctors and abuse the amount. You know, I just didn't think there was a consequence. If I was hurting, give it. You know, it was one of those. And I didn't stop until my consequences caught up to me, which I consider December 10th, 2010. So for that one, it's much shorter, only 11 years ago. And then in terms of my abuse of myself with food, you know, that's right now. Seriously. Now, I'm going to credit myself. Over the last 3 years, I have absolutely eaten cleaner and better and closer to vegan and raw vegan than my entire life combined. And that is not an understatement. But, you know, praise God, I'm on day 63 of truly eating my vegan and raw vegan and honoring the brain synapses, the neurons, the connectors. You know, I remember with my father, and he was a professional alcoholic in the sense that he never missed work a day in 35 years, but he absolutely comforted himself with alcohol, like on a regular basis, if not nightly. And I just thought, you know, you can't get brain cells back when they're killed. And I just wondered, would he have had Lewy body dementia? Would he have died, you know, in a just shy of 80? I mean, like, seriously. I'll never know, but what I know is I can make my best choices, and I'm certainly doing that. So a synapse is an electrical impulse that triggers the release of a chemical messenger called a neurotransmitter from the ending of one neuron, which is a nerve terminal. The neurotransmitter passively diffuses across the space. There's like an actual jump to the next neuron where it binds to specialized receptor proteins. Most of these receptor sites are present on dendrites, the portion of the neuron that receive the incoming signal. Anyway, it's of course midnight and it gets pretty scientific. But I did just want to say, let's stay the course, and if you're not there yet, get on with it. You cannot get brain cells back, you know? Fortunately, you can. It's interesting, the brain is pliable. What I'm suggesting is you can't get the ones back that are dead. You can't get the ones back that are damaged. But the brain is pliable. It can continue to evolve. It can make new connectors, new synapses. And that's all God's grace. But why not keep what you have, you know, in addition to getting the renewed ones? Wouldn't that be brilliant? Anyway, I don't know if you can make it through that Lucy movie. It's pretty violent, but it is super interesting. And I know we're doing right by ourselves to eat fruit, vegetables, plant-based fats, and Of course, water, of course, sunlight, of course, exercise, whatever else you can add. But I'm just so sorry that our world, in a way, everybody's a double miracle because they eat so much junk and food-like products and largely function. And even though people may die too soon, it's amazing they're even functioning. But I was right there a minute ago, right? In time, a minute ago in time. All right, my friends, like if you like, join us if you haven't, subscribe. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. What do you think of this? I'd love to know. And until we talk again, best of all, know that you're blessed.